What's good, guys? Welcome to my latest video. We're going to be speculating what's going to be happening this February in this episode. In my previous speculation video, we spoke about the return of Revan, and it looks like it's going to happen, guys. If you've seen the latest weekly store, all the Old Republic characters have arrived, which more than likely means Revan is just behind them. I would reckon maybe a week's time and we'll likely see Revan. This falls bang in line with my prediction of mid-January to early February that we threw out in the previous video way back in December. I know there was supposedly a date of mine that said the 18th of January, but I was never actually able to find the evidence. I never managed to find this supposed date of mine. So yeah, it looks like my original prediction is bang on, and we're going to be expecting Revan anytime now. Hopefully everybody is ready for this. However, now we got some predictions coming for February, and the one that's really starting to make the rounds and also caught my eye was the Ebon Hawk. Now, those of you that don't know what the Ebon Hawk is, it's the Millennium Falcon of the Old Republic era, more or less. It's piloted by Kaf and Nasi. IG-88 ship actually has synergy with other droid allies, and we don't actually have any other droid ships, so there's potential, cross-compatibility there. Also, it's worth noticing that the Old Republic actually has a section in the ships categories, so that would make sense too. My speculated unlock requirements for this would actually be the Sith ships. We've actually got 4 of them right now. We've got no capital ship, and I'll get to that later. And the Ebon Hawk spent a majority of the 2 Knights of the Old Republic games running from all the Sith armadas, so it would make sense that we have to use those Sith ships in order to unlock the Ebon Hawk. It's pretty terrifying because I don't really have any of them done. I mean, my Sith fighter is nearly 5-star, and obviously the main ships are alright, but if it's going to be anything like the Millennium Falcon, where we're going to need all 4 ships and preferably 7-starred, I'm totally screwed because my Sith bomber is I've not even got a shard for it yet. I only realized like yesterday when I was planning this video that it was even farmable. That shows I'm paying a lot of attention to the latest releases, clearly. So what do you guys think? Do you expect the Ebon Hawk too? I mean, it's one of the most iconic ships in Star Wars. It's the one that, outside of the Millennium Falcon, I can't think of anything that means more to me, having come from Knights of the Old Republic in the first place. That's the franchise that got me into Star Wars. So the inclusion of that ship for me would be massive. No doubt I'm going to have to go get on the gear grind once again, this time for Kaf, because I haven't actually worked on him yet. I've not really worked on any of the Old Republic characters. I think they're all gear 7 to 8, other than, Bastila, of course. So, yeah, I'm going to be a bit behind if that ends up becoming a new meta of some sort, but I would imagine it'd be more of a plug-and-play ship, because there are no other Old Republic ships in the game yet. What would it go with? However, Old Republic aside, you know what February means? It means Sith month. Well, we can hope. I hope it's still Sith month this year around. Anyway, I've loved the previous ones. But what could possibly be coming? I know a lot of people are talking about Darth Revan. I personally don't think we'll see Darth Revan. I actually don't. I mean, I'm not even 100% sure how the event would work. Personally, I would have released Darth Revan first, and then put the team together in order to redeem him, and that would be the second legendary, the light one. Everything's been kind of done backwards. The only characters that actually had any real connection with the dark variation of Revan were Bastila and HK, so I'm not sure where all the other characters would come into play in any potential heroes fall. I mean, the only thing that I can really think of is if we go for the non-canon, back when it was canon, dark side ending, and in turn we would be able to use any of the Old Republic characters, really, because let's face it, they outside of Kaf, they would all stand by him anyway. So yeah, not really sure what they will do in regards to actually bringing Darth Revan into the game. It doesn't seem like the right time. I mean, Malak's not in the game, his apprentice. HK needs a rework, and yeah, if we do a Dark Side Heroes 4, for example, the event wouldn't exactly be very long unless we're essentially going to replay the light side version of the event with just a different ending. I don't know, I just don't think it's time for Darth Revan yet. So what do I think is actually going to come in February? I actually expect a Sith capital ship. This seems like a perfect fit right now. As I mentioned earlier, we've got a bunch of Sith ships in the game with no real capital to run under. They got no synergy with anyone outside of, the Vader ship, really, or just each other. And the perfect choice would surely be Darth Nihilus's the Ravager. It's a ready-to-go ship. Nihilus has been in the game for the longest time now. Many of us have already got him powered up. The only thing I'm not really sure on is how we would go about unlocking it. I would have thought it would be, again, the Sith ships. Perhaps for Ebon Hawk, we would have to have Nihilus or something. I don't know. You know, having his Ravager in order to unlock the Ebon Hawk would then increase the difficulty and the paywall. But, you know, it seems to make sense. It seems to make sense that we would end up needing the Sith ships in order to unlock the Ravager, because we don't really have any Old Republic ships to do it. Another strong possibility is the arrival, finally, of Darth Malak, the former apprentice of Darth Revan turned ultimate Sith Lord himself once Revan was no longer in charge. I would expect a legendary event for Malak, but then we didn't get that for Nihilus or Sion either, so it's quite possible that he would just become a marquee character. If it was a legendary, I'd expect that we'd be able to use any of Revan's group, any of the Old Republic, light side or dark side, considering they all functioned under Revan in the first place. It wouldn't really matter. I'd expect we'd have to, you know, have a showdown with Malak, with the Revan team, and in order to unlock him. I've been umming and ahhing about including his capital ship, the Leviathan, in this. However, he's not actually the commander. He's the owner of it and the head of the Sith Order, but the actual commander was Saw Kareth, so I'm not really sure if that ship's gonna come into the game when Malak does or not, because I just don't see them adding Saul into the game. We still don't even have General Hux, so the inclusion of Saul, who wasn't particularly a major on-screen character in the Knights of the Old Republic, although, you know, he's a fairly important character in that era if you followed the comics and stuff. It doesn't seem like the kind of character CG would include in this mass release of Knights of the Old Republic characters. So I'm not holding my breath for his inclusion, although I would personally like to see him arrive. I don't see any reason why he couldn't. Also, if we are going to see Darth Malak arrive, then surely an obvious inclusion would be the number 2 of the Sith Order and his shadow hand, Darth Bandon. Now, if you don't even remember who Darth Bandon is, I'll forgive you. He's not the main character or anything. He's not a major part. Although we do have showdowns with him in Knights of the Old Republic. Bandon is largely a character who's kind of flown under the radar. But he would be a great inclusion into the game as well. Some synergy in there with Malak, another strong Sith to go along with the many that we already have. Give us an opportunity to fight back against the Revan meta. Perhaps something to even counter the constant wave of C-3PO rebel teams that are everywhere right now. Bandon would undoubtedly be a marquee. Undoubtedly, he's nowhere near a big enough name to be a legendary event. He wouldn't warrant that at all. I mean, if Django didn't and Sion and Nihilus didn't, then he would obviously just be a bog standard marquee. But I think it'd be a nice inclusion still, just to have that, that tandem with Darth Malak. Another prediction I think will happen finally in February is the rework of HK-47. The Sith assassin droid is a vital character to the Knights of the Old Republic era, the personal assassin droid of Darth Revan. HK, as we know, the meatbag slayer, could flip-flop between the light side and the dark side because his allegiance lays with Revan, regardless of where Revan's allegiance lies. An HK rework is something I have wanted to see for, well, ever since I started playing the game and realized he was pretty garbage. I know Anna wants his Grievous rework, but HK is the one I want to see. I wouldn't be surprised if a droid rework actually happens in March or something. We're due a meta shakeup. But yeah, I don't think the droid rework will happen just yet, although I do think HK will be the precursor to that. I'd love to see some synergy with Jedi Revan, also some setup for some potential synergy with Sith allies as well, considering he was a Sith assassin droid to begin with. A rework would set him up nicely to be a pilot in the Ebon Hawk as well. As part of his rework, I really do hope he actually gets Deathmark. It seems very fitting for an assassin, really. But more than anything, what he needs is a synergy with a viable faction. At the moment, he's only got synergy with droids, and let's face it, none of them are any good. And you factor in, he's the best droid leader, really. And that's quite underwhelming and disappointing and depressing. So there you have it, guys. That's my predictions for February. The Ravager, Darth Malak, possibly Bandon, and an HK rework. The Ebon Hawk has to be on the way. I'm not 100% sure we'll see it in February, although it's a strong possibility. If we don't see the Ravager, I think we will see the Ebon Hawk. It has to be one of them. Fleet seems to be getting a real shot in the arm right now. I was a huge fan of Fleet when it first arrived. I've flip-flopped on it depending how stale it's getting now and then. I'm quite enjoying it again at the moment, although there have been periods where I really haven't enjoyed it. It's one of the modes that can be made or broken by the release of one character, because there's just not enough depth in there to counter the release of such a broken character. And while many are saying the Falcon is broken, there are many counters. I mean, I've shown you one. A lot of my viewers have been suggesting other counters, and I do have a direct counter to the Falcon and Bosk version. This has been recorded and is coming, so just bear with me. I'm hoping to get it out Monday. So that's it for this video, guys. Please let me know what you think is going to be happening in February. I love to read people's theories. Predictions are one of the fun part of this game for me. I'd also like to give a shout out to my brother Dan. It's his birthday today, so happy birthday, Dan. Big shout out to my patrons who continue to support this channel. And until next time, guys, we out of here.